Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And on today's Going In Raw News Brief, is NXT getting its own NXT? Otis talks about being sent to the Performance Center. We preview Smackdown. But first, is The Rock returning to Talking Smack? Larson, what's in the news?
So rumors have abounded that WWE wants to do the dream match of The Rock versus Roman Reigns at an upcoming WrestleMania. The recent reports seem to indicate that it likely won't happen until the year 2022.
In the year 2022.
But it's still noteworthy whenever the Great One makes an appearance on WWE programming. And then today, Fox and WWE have confirmed that The Rock will be doing an interview with Jay Glazer on tonight's special edition of Talking Smack, which is set to air right after SmackDown tonight on Fox Sports 1. So a reminder to everyone, SmackDown tonight is not on Fox Network, it is on FS1.
Yeah.
So anyways, could The Rock be appearing to potentially start a build towards his clash with the head of the table? Or is Dwayne showing up to promote something else, like maybe the relaunch of the XFL? Considering Jay Glazer's involved, he is, I think, most well known as a football reporter. So that
also,
would seem to be my inclinations. Like, I doubt he's showing up on set. No. You know, so I would think maybe it's an XFL thing, but you never know.
No, I think it's this. It's going to be this. He understands that the idea is probably out there. He's probably entertained the idea. He'll probably end up doing it with Roman Reigns, but a ways off. And he's probably going to show up to, the actual goal of him being there is to promote his XFL. But in order to add some sugar to that, he's going to talk about a potential matchup with Roman Reigns. It will be interesting because, The Rock is going to do what The Rock wants to do. And so the story that the Rock already knows what Roman Reigns' current story is. So we might actually get some sort of indication as to what his character thinks about Roman being the head of the table.
Yeah.
And that might give us some inclination as to where that story could lead when they eventually come to blows, which, it'll probably happen, but probably will happen in LA.
Yeah, whenever WrestleMania happens in LA, I would think it would happen then, assuming The Rock has time and room in his incredibly busy schedule.
I do wonder if, to set that up, if he would, having a match at Mania is a lot different than just making an appearance, even if it's, a Ken Shamrock Impact Hall of Fame-esque cameo, or something maybe a tad more ambitious than that, but still not a personal appearance in Tampa. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll do the kind of thing that they did with him and Cena, where he hosted one year and that set up the next 2 years. Maybe he'll make some sort of tangential appearance to set up the following year. That's a possibility as well. But it could they might.
Tonight. It could kickstart tonight.
They'll have this thing tonight, this one soundbite tonight to reference that. So
definitely. In other news, could NXT be getting their own NXT? Steve, what is this all about?
So we're not talking about NXT UK here, because that's kind of NXT's NXT in one respect. Anyways, but it looks like NXT might be getting its own developmental brand, because Wrestling Inc. is reporting that Paul Triple H the Game Levesque has created a team to oversee a new NXT show, which apparently would be an NXT minor league system. Gabe Sapolsky is leading the team. Levesque has given him several agents and writers to help him get more comfortable with writing television. Levesque is a big believer in Sapolsky, and this is said to be a case of Levesque giving him the ball. The goal was for the show to launch in early 2021, but it has been delayed and probably will be again. Now, this is sort of in line with something that Fightful reported this past October. Larson, what did they have to say at the time?
So this is what Fightful had to say. Quote, there could be more NXT content on the way soon. Fightful has learned that a once pitched NXT product was at least in the planning stages in September before the most recent outbreak. Once pitched as NXT Underground, well before Raw Underground happened, it wasn't to be anything like the Raw Underground we see today, outside of having peers watch the show. The idea was floated around last year, but not everyone was on board with the idea, which was tabled. There was a pilot for the event shot at the WWE Performance Center in summer 2019, which would have been the setting of the event. We're told it has long been a Ryan Katz project. The latest Fightful heard is that some unused NXT talent and new Evolve signings were tentatively planned for the show. Again, Fightful unsure of how the COVID outbreak may have affected this particular idea.
One thing that has been noticeable about NXT since they moved to USA especially has been, I miss the more developmental aspects of NXT. And, I'm not sure that I'd keep up this necessarily on a weekly basis, but I think it'd be probably a fun, breezy watch if it was only an hour long.
I'll proffer this. So we've seen Tyler Rust, who was just signed, put forth a pretty strong TV match with Tommaso Ciampa.
August Gray.
Yeah, August Gray, Leon Ruff, North American champion. Not to say that any of those three individuals need additional seasoning and a developmental territory, if you will, for NXT, but if maybe part of the idea of having them featured so much potentially is to use them as cornerstones for whatever the second NXT show may be.
Yeah. No, I think
here's
that's
the thing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is how you said it. It's Thatch's Thatch Can Academy. And he's the authority figure.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, and what would be an interesting sort of experiment? We've often noted lately with WWE's creative being, lagging in many areas, the lack of continuity specifically between NXT and WWE. When somebody's hot shit in NXT, then they arrive in a main roster, they're shoved in a room for a year. Yep. I would suspect there is more continuity between NXT UK and NXT. Yes. Like it is, they all acknowledge each other.
It is one pipeline. Yes.
So this would be kind of fun, especially if NXT, if the idea is, as Meltzer speculated recently, that the call-ups are going to be fewer and far between, that NXT is going to shift their focus in terms of, okay, guys like Gargano, Ciampa, we're going to need to be more inventive creatively with them because they're going to be here for the long haul. These are going to be guys who are going to be like a Randy Orton on main roster who's been around for 20 years. Well, you're going to see Gargano and Ciampa around for the long haul in NXT, not on the main roster. They have to philosophically change how they tell stories.
Yep.
And now the call-up will be from NXT, whatever this is going to be, Underground, I guess, to main NXT, and then you'll get some more exciting, oh, wow, they're doing an invasion thing. Oh, wow, we've seen them do some really cool stuff here in Underground, and now they're invading NXT Prime.
Yeah.
Then if they start to shift NXT to be its own brand, like with the limitations that WWE has put on them, that could make NXT a stronger product, and as it relates to this.
Definitely. Yeah. I think we've seen over the course of this year some growing pains in terms of NXT creative, in terms of getting to the point where it's not about, all right, this wrestler is on a certain cycle of creative, and once that's over, there's a window there for a potential call-up. We've seen that before.
Yeah.
Now booking talents in NXT more open-ended.
Yeah, sure.
Because they could be there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years potentially if the idea is people like Gargano or Ciampa or Adam Cole or whomever is going to be in NXT for the long haul, then you got to change your entire creative approach. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like somebody or a group of people have senioritis because they've done their one major storyline that we have been conditioned in the past means call up after that's concluded.
Out of there, yeah.
So it seemed like at times over the summer and early fall, especially NXT, it seemed like there was some growing pains creatively. Where even now, it's just as of late, it seemed like Tommaso Ciampa finally has something to do. He's in this feud with Thatcher.
Yeah,
but for months before that, he was barely on TV. When he was, even he seemed like he wasn't even sure what he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, be interesting. Also interesting, of course, we had a report earlier this week that some big men in the WWE on their main roster, and I guess Dabba-Kato, I mean, he was officially drafted to Raw, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Had been sent back to the Performance Center for some additional seasoning.
Yeah.
Wait, who's taking this one, me or you? Because we both sort of did the last one.
All right, I'll just do it. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's about a week ago. It was PW Insider Wrestling was ever reported, as you mentioned. Amongst those names, Keith Lee, Otis, Dabba-Kato, Dio Madden, Omos. Apparently, Vince said, hey, you guys got to go back to the Performance Center for some additional training. So Ryan Satin had an interview with Otis. Thank you. About those reports, and the former Money in the Bank winner made it seem like basically, completely, totally non-news. These transcripts are from Cage Side Seats. Steve, please take it away.
I think it's always been there. I mean, I don't know where specifically how do I explain this? It wasn't like, what the hell? This sounds like Otis. Anyways, he said, I'm not going to do the whole Otis thing. He says, it wasn't like, hey, we were told this and that. Like, there will always be. The Performance Center is a tool for us to get better. And my seeing on it, if a big man wants to come up to me and wants to work on stuff, or, vice versa, I mean, we're always working. So that report was kind of funny. At the same time, we're never not working here. Especially now, we don't have live events, so we can't really get our stuff out. You know what I'm saying? It's just bottled inside into a little bottle, so we're not getting that stuff out there. So we'll find more and more ways to get in the ring, which obviously nothing beats a crowd. And that's one thing I miss to this day is that crowd, feeling that rush from there, the acceptance. It's just we're not getting that much out. So now is the time to get better, time to get things in. So there really hasn't been set dates or there hasn't been set anything. It's just like when you want to come in, brother, and either I'll talk to Braun about something, me and Braun Strowman will do curls for 30 minutes, and then it's let's talk about something over here. So it's always been there. I don't know why it's become a big report gimmick, but yeah, I don't know. Laughs. Oh, yeah. The more interesting thing, it would have been one thing if the report was, it would have been non-news had it been, several of the big men have been sent to the Performance Center. The way Otis is framing it is if the news story was WWE wrestlers will tend to go to the Performance Center to work on their craft, that's non-news.
No house shows now, yeah. Yeah, that's totally non-news. Yeah.
That's non-news. The report was, and again, I guess take it with a grain of salt, Vince was mad over seeing a specific group of wrestlers and how they were performing, so he sent them to the Performance Center. People backstage were confused as to why Keith Lee would have been one of those men.
Yeah. And I think another thing, not necessarily non-news, but it wouldn't have had as large of an impact had it not included two fairly prominent members of the Raw and SmackDown roster, one of which, Keith Lee, who's been wrestling for 15 years or something like that. If it was... wrestlers who did not even get a whole lot of airtime in NXT, like Dabba-Kato, like Omos, you'd see that. Okay, that makes sense. We don't know how much training they've actually had.
Yeah.
And at the time of the report, we speculated maybe this is like as Otis describes here. Maybe it's a situation where they're not getting the reps in the ring that they're used to getting, being on the road 4 or 5 days a week. So they're just going to the Performance Center, to, as he puts it, get that stuff out there.
Get that stuff out. Yeah.
And, we also speculated it's a situation where some of the guys who didn't have the training or the experience, like Keith Lee or Otis, were asked to return to the Performance Center, and maybe Keith Lee and Otis were asked to join them to help them along. But it's with such a lack of detail as far as the actual arrangement, it just makes it seem like Vince was mad, ordered, a bunch of a bunch of wrestlers, bunch of the heavyweight, super heavyweight wrestlers, go to Performance Center. You're not wrestling up to stuff. Work your stuff out.
Well, one of the details in the report was Vince was mad. I mean, that's what sort of gave the entire thing context. I mentioned this on our SmackDown recap at the time because I talked to Cal that day, and he had said, he was like, dude, Keith Lee's not going to. Vince is not going to be mad at Keith Lee's moveset because Keith Lee knows all the moves and he's the guy who's going to be teaching stuff.
And I think that's the thing is Vince. They said Vince was mad, but who or what exactly was the source of his discontent?
Yeah, dude. There was so much there that was like, okay, wait a second. I mean, look, when Alexa Bliss posts videos of her working out at the Performance Center, nobody says, oh my gosh, she's been sent there as because Vince thinks she's dumb or
That's
something.
why the Performance Center exists.
Yeah, it's to work, it's to hone your craft. Like they have a million rings set up there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that Otis actually commented on this. I mean, even look, we're as guilty as anybody, in our thumbnail and title, Keith Lee being sent to Performance, but we're running a business here, so that's sort of our job.
But if he was if he was charged with helping out some of the less experienced wrestlers at Performance Center,
he is being sent to the Performance Center.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
then that would be sound.
That's my point.
Hey man, we're not above trying to get some of them clicks. Anyways, who wants to get some clicks? FS1. They want people to be clicking on their channel, so they have SmackDown tonight.
They got to find it first, probably. So we got 4 segments announced so far. First, tag title bout: Street Profits defending against Dolph and Bob Roode. Probably a wonk finish, and then we might see this rematch at TLC.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they would view the the pay-per-views these days are kind of rarefied air for talent. I'm not sure if this feud right here.
6 matches announced though so far.
I would suggest this: if we get a wonk finish, it'll probably rematch next week on SmackDown when it's back on Fox,
or could be kickoff show.
Yeah, that's a possibility too. Bayley's going to take on Bianca Belair. That might have a wonk finish as well. SmackDown's going to host Carmella's Champagne Toast with her sommelier.
And then finally, don't miss the first annual Sammy Awards.
Not to be confused with the Slammy Awards.
These are the Sammy Awards.
I wonder who's going to win the Sammys this year.
Sammy's going
to win the Sammys this year. That's right. Anyways, join us for our SmackDown recap after the show. Live at the twitch.tv/Steven Larson. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. We appreciate it. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.